The signal came on a Tuesday. It was faint at first, barely distinguishable from the normal cosmic background noise that Earth's deep space monitoring stations picked up every day. But this was different. This signal had a pattern. Alan West was the first to notice it. He had been working the night shift at the Arecibo Observatory in Puerto Rico for 5 years. Nothing exciting ever happened during his shifts. Until now. "Hey Diane, take a look at this," Alan called to his colleague. "This can't be right." Diane Powell set down her coffee and walked over to Alan's monitor. Her eyes widened as she studied the repeating sequence. "That's not random," she whispered. "That's not random at all." Within hours, every major observatory on Earth confirmed the same signal. It was coming from just beyond Neptune's orbit, and it was definitely artificial. The world's governments tried to keep it quiet, but news like this couldn't stay secret for long. Dr. Olivia Martinez was eating breakfast when her phone rang. As the lead astrophysicist at NASA's Communication Division, she knew a 5 a.m. call meant something big had happened. "We need you here now," her director said. "We've got a situation." By noon, Olivia was staring at the signal pattern on the main screen of NASA's control room, surrounded by government officials and military personnel. "We need to decode this," said General Harris, "and we need to do it yesterday." Olivia shook her head. "This isn't like deciphering a human language. We don't have any reference points. We need a linguist." That's how John Miller found himself rushed by military helicopter to NASA headquarters. John was a linguistics professor at Stanford University who specialized in pattern recognition in unknown languages. He had written theoretical papers about how humans might communicate with alien civilizations. He never expected to put his theories to the test. "The pattern repeats exactly every 437 seconds," Olivia explained to John as they hunched over computers. "But within that pattern, there are variations that must mean something." For 3 weeks, Olivia and John worked nearly around the clock. They'd brought in computer specialists, mathematicians, and cryptographers. Progress was slow, but they began to understand pieces of the message. "It's like they're using mathematical concepts as a universal language," John explained to the president during a briefing. "We can't understand their actual language, but they're translating it into math and physics that any advanced civilization would recognize." On day 23, they had their breakthrough. John burst into the main lab, his eyes wild with excitement and fear. "It's a declaration," he said, his voice shaking slightly. "A formal declaration of intent." The room fell silent as John displayed his findings on the main screen. The message was short and clear. "Your world has been identified for integration. Resistance is unnecessary. You have been warned." Within days, the message was leaked to the public. Global panic followed. Religious leaders called it the end times. Conspiracy theorists claimed it was a government hoax. Military forces worldwide went on high alert. But Olivia and John weren't satisfied. There was something else in the signal, something hidden beneath the main message. "Look at these subpatterns," Olivia said late one night, pointing to her screen. "They're too regular to be noise, but they don't match the translation algorithm we developed." John nodded slowly. "It's like they're sending 2 messages at once. The obvious threat that anyone might eventually decode. And something else," Olivia finished his thought. "Something maybe they didn't expect us to find." While world leaders debated how to respond to the alien threat, Olivia and John worked on the secondary pattern, and what they found gave Earth its first glimmer of hope. "It's technical data," Olivia explained to her superiors. "Specifications, numbers, details about their fleet, their weapons, their expected arrival time. They've given us 6 months," John added quietly. General Harris frowned. "Why would they tell us that? Why give us time to prepare?" Olivia looked up from her notes. "Because they don't think we can prepare. This isn't a courtesy. It's arrogance." John nodded. "They'd done this before. This is formula for them. One morning, then conquest." "Well," said General Harris, standing up straight, Let's make sure we're the exception to their rule. Olivia and John spent the next week breaking down the hidden technical data in the alien message. They worked in a secure underground facility, surrounded by computers and the best minds the government could gather. Sleep came in short bursts on cots pushed against the wall. "These numbers here," Olivia said, pointing to a sequence on her screen. "They must relate to their fleet size. If I'm right, we're looking at over 300 vessels." John nodded, his eyes red from lack of sleep. "And this section describes their weapons. Energy-based, from what I can tell. Nothing like our conventional arms." William Carter arrived on day 30. He was a Pentagon analyst known for finding patterns others missed. Tall and quiet, he spent his first day just observing, saying nothing as he reviewed their findings. On the second day, William pointed to a diagram they had constructed of the alien fleet formation. "There's a gap here," he said. "And here. Their formation has a rhythm to it, like music. But there's a weakness in the pattern." Olivia leaned forward. "What kind of weakness?" "Their ships maintain precise distances from each other. It looks like they rely on some kind of shared defense system. But if we could disrupt just one section..." William's voice trailed off as he sketched calculations on a notepad. The team was joined by Susan Baker, a brilliant engineer from MIT. While the others focused on understanding the alien technology, Susan worked on how Earth might respond. "If their ships use energy shields like we think," Susan explained during a briefing, "then we might be able to modify our nuclear weapons to create an electromagnetic pulse that could disrupt their systems." General Harris frowned. "Can we build something like that in 6 months?" Susan shrugged. "We've never tried before. But we've never had to." While the scientific team worked, world leaders gathered at the United Nations for an emergency summit. For the first time in history, old enemies set aside their differences in the face of an existential threat. "We need to pool all resources," the Secretary General urged. "Technology, military assets, scientific knowledge. This is no longer about national security. This is about human survival." Not everyone agreed with the unified approach. Some nations threatened to go their own way. Some religious groups claimed the aliens were divine punishment. But as more details about the alien threat became public, resistance to cooperation faded. Back at the research facility, Olivia made another discovery. "Look at this," she told John, showing him a series of numbers they had decoded. "These are coordinates for their previous conquests, dozens of star systems." John studied the data. "Can we tell what happened to those worlds?" Olivia shook her head. "Not exactly. But there's a pattern in how the conquests are listed. They categorize worlds by how they responded to the warning. Most are listed as standard integration, but a few are marked differently." "Different how?" asked William, looking up from his work. "This phrase keeps appearing with the outliers. If I'm translating correctly, it means something like unexpected resistance or non-standard response." Susan joined them, coffee in hand. "So some civilizations fought back." "It looks that way," Olivia said. "And based on the time patterns in the data, those conquests took longer, much longer." John leaned back in his chair. "So they're not invincible." "No civilization is," William said quietly. "Every system has flaws." The next morning, General Harris called an all-hands meeting. The room was packed with scientists, military personnel, and government officials. "I've just come from Washington," the general announced. "The president has authorized full resources for Project SHIELD. Every lab, every factory, every military base is now focused on one goal: defending Earth." He looked around the room, his face grave. "Dr. Martinez, Professor Miller, I need your teams to keep working on the alien data. Find every weakness, every opportunity." "What about trying to communicate with them?" John asked. "Maybe we can negotiate." General Harris shook his head. "The president wants to explore all options, but we're preparing for the worst. These beings traveled across the galaxy to conquer us. We can't assume they'll be reasonable." As the meeting ended, Olivia pulled John aside. "There's something else in the data, something we missed before." "What is it?" John asked. Olivia lowered her voice. "I think I know why they give a warning before they attack, and it might be the key to beating them." Olivia led John to her private office and closed the door. Maps and charts covered the walls. Empty coffee cups littered her desk. "The warnings aren't just arrogance," she explained. "They're part of their process. Their ships need time to adjust their weapons to each planet's specific atmosphere and gravity." John's eyes widened. "So they actually need those 6 months?" "Not all of it. But some, yes. And here's the important part. They calibrate based on our current technology level." Olivia pulled up a file on her computer. "They expect us to panic, maybe try a few desperate measures with what we already have. But they don't expect us to advance." John finished the thought. "Exactly. And based on their past conquests, no civilization has ever made significant technological progress during the warning period. They either panicked or did nothing." The next day, representatives from every major nation gathered at the newly formed Global Defense Initiative headquarters in Geneva. The building buzzed with activity as scientists, military officials, and government leaders worked together against the clock. General Frank Rodriguez was chosen to lead the unified defense forces. He was respected by both Eastern and Western military leaders and known for his calm under pressure. "We have 2 advantages," General Rodriguez told the assembled leaders. "First, we know they're coming. Second, they don't expect us to use that knowledge effectively." The meeting room erupted in discussions about how to proceed. Some leaders wanted to build massive bunkers to save at least part of humanity. Others argued for developing new weapons. A few still hoped for diplomatic solutions. "We need to do all of it," the general said firmly. "Different teams, different approaches. We cannot afford to put all our hopes in one strategy." Across the globe, military bases converted to research centers. Weapons factories shifted to building new technology. Scientists shared discoveries that had previously been kept as national secrets. Lisa Powell and Daniel Green, engineers from rival defense companies, now worked side by side. They focused on modifying existing nuclear weapons to create the electromagnetic pulse Susan had suggested. "The problem isn't creating the pulse," Lisa explained to General Rodriguez during a progress update. "It's targeting it precisely and making sure it affects their systems, but not ours." Daniel nodded. "We're making progress, but we need more time." "Time is the one thing we don't have," the general reminded them. In India, scientist Raj Patel worked with an international team on a global satellite defense grid. Their plan was to create a network of satellites that could detect and track the alien ships and communicate targeting data to ground-based weapons. "The coverage must be complete," Raj told his team. "No blind spots. No weak points." Chinese quantum physicist Dr. Wei Zong made a breakthrough in shield technology. Her team had been studying the alien specifications and found a way to create energy fields that might deflect the alien weapons. "It won't stop everything," she cautioned, "but it could give our cities a few critical minutes of protection." Meanwhile, a group of hackers led by Kate Johnson worked on cyber warfare tactics. If the alien ships used any kind of networked systems, they might be vulnerable to digital attacks. "We don't know if our code will be compatible with their systems," Kate told John during a video conference. "But we're developing viruses that adapt and evolve. If there's a way in, we'll find it." As the 3rd month of preparation ended, General Rodriguez called Olivia, John, and the other project leaders together. "I need honest assessments," he said. "Where do we stand?" The reports were mixed. Some projects showed promise. Others faced significant obstacles. No single approach seemed likely to stop the alien force completely. "We need more time," Susan Baker admitted. "We won't get it," the general replied. "So we adapt. We combine approaches. Maybe no single weapon can stop them, but what about 10 different weapons from 10 different directions?" As the meeting ended, Olivia pulled John aside again. "There's something else," she said quietly. I've been studying their conquest patterns more carefully. There's a reason they give exactly one morning. What is it? John asked. They've never needed to give two, Olivia replied. But I think Earth might just force them to change that policy. The 5-month mark arrived faster than anyone wanted. Earth had made incredible progress, but the defensive systems were only partially complete. The waiting became its own kind of torture. Olivia stood in the main control room of the Global Defense Initiative headquarters, staring at the large screen that displayed the solar system. Small dots represented Earth's new network of defensive satellites, spreading outward from their planet like a protective web. Any sign of them? She asked the monitoring team. Sam Evans, the lead technician, shook his head. Nothing yet, but our detection range now extends beyond Jupiter. We'll see them coming. John entered the room carrying 2 cups of coffee. He handed one to Olivia. The translation team made progress on their communication patterns, he said. If we need to talk to them, we can try. Olivia nodded. Let's hope they're in a listening mood. The alarm sounded 3 days later. The advanced telescopes detected movement at the edge of the solar system. The alien fleet had arrived. General Rodriguez called an emergency meeting of all project leaders. The room was tense as everyone took their seats. They're here earlier than expected, the general announced. Based on their current speed, they'll reach Earth in approximately 2 weeks. Are they following the formation pattern we predicted? William Carter asked. The general nodded. Almost exactly. They're sending smaller scout ships ahead of the main fleet. 4 of them are already approaching Jupiter. Can we take them out? Asked Lisa Powell. Test our weapons on the scouts before the main fleet arrives. That would reveal our capabilities. Susan Baker cautioned. We might lose the element of surprise. After much debate, they decided to let the scout ships approach. Earth would appear unprepared, just as the aliens expected. We need to look weak, General Rodriguez explained to world leaders in a global broadcast. Let them think their warning had the usual effect: panic and disorganization. Meanwhile, preparations accelerated. Underground bunkers were stocked with supplies. Key scientific and military personnel were positioned at secure facilities around the world. Civilian militia training programs operated day and night. 1 week before the expected attack, the scout ships reached Mars. They paused there, seemingly conducting observations. They're scanning us, Sam reported. Looking at our power grids, communications, military bases. Are they seeing our real capabilities? Olivia asked. No, we're running the masking program. They see what we want them to see. Minimal preparations, some panicked military movements, nothing coordinated. Dr. Martinez had been working on another project in secret. Using the data they had gathered about alien communication protocols, she found a way to send a message back to them. We should contact them, she told General Rodriguez, not to surrender, but to surprise them. What would we say? The general asked. Something they've never heard before, Olivia replied with a small smile. The message was simple, broadcast directly to the alien fleet using their own communication frequency. We acknowledge your warning. It is you who should have been warned about us. The effect was immediate. The scout ships near Mars stopped their advance. The main fleet, now visible near Jupiter, slowed its approach. They're confused, John said, watching the monitors. This doesn't fit their conquest pattern. 2 days later, a single ship detached from the main fleet and headed toward Earth. It was smaller than the others, moving faster. They're sending a delegation, General Rodriguez announced. They want to see what they're dealing with. World leaders debated whether to shoot down the approaching ship. Some argued it was a trap. Others saw an opportunity to gather intelligence. Let them come, Olivia urged. Let them see that we're not like the others. The ship entered Earth's atmosphere on a clear Sunday morning. It followed the flight path that had been communicated to it, landing in a large field outside Geneva, near the Global Defense Initiative headquarters. As the ship's engines powered down, the world held its breath. Television cameras broadcast the event globally. Military forces surrounded the landing site, weapons ready. The ship's door opened slowly, revealing a tall, slender figure unlike anything humans had imagined. The alien took one step onto Earth's soil, then paused, looking around at the assembled humans. "We received your message," it said in perfect English, its voice oddly musical. "We would like to discuss it further." The alien was taken to a specially prepared meeting room in the Global Defense Initiative headquarters. It called itself the Voice of Integration and said it spoke for the Galactic Empire. 6 world leaders and key project members, including Olivia and John, sat across from it at a long table. The Voice of Integration had blue-gray skin that seemed to shimmer slightly. Its eyes were large and dark, with no visible pupils. When it spoke, its mouth didn't move exactly like a human's would. "Your message was unexpected," the voice said. "In our experience, warned worlds do not respond with confidence." "Earth is different," said the President of the United States. "We prefer peace, but we will defend ourselves if necessary." The voice tilted its head slightly. "Many species say this. Few can do it." Olivia leaned forward. "We decoded your hidden message. We know about your fleet, your weapons, and your previous conquests." For the first time, the alien showed surprise. Its skin changed color slightly, becoming more purple. "That is unusual," it said finally. "The technical data is included as a formality. No world has decoded it completely before." "Like I said," the President repeated, "Earth is different." The voice asked to see some of Earth's cities and technology. After much discussion, the leaders agreed to a limited tour. The alien was shown selected facilities, including one of the defense manufacturing plants, where Lisa Powell and Daniel Green's team worked. "Your rate of technological advancement is remarkable," the voice observed. "Our records indicated a pre-integration society barely capable of limited space travel." "Your records were outdated," General Rodriguez said simply. Back at headquarters, the voice requested a private meeting with Olivia and John. Armed guards stood at the door, watching carefully. "You are the ones who decoded our message," the voice said. It wasn't a question. Olivia nodded. "We are part of the team, yes. In the history of the Empire, this has happened only twice before." The voice's tone changed, becoming less formal. Both times, the species was offered special status. "What kind of special status?" John asked. "Integration with autonomy. Your world would join the Empire but retain self-governance under Imperial oversight." Olivia crossed her arms. "And if we refuse?" The voice's skin darkened. "Then the standard integration procedure continues." "You mean invasion," John said. "We call it integration. The result is the same." Later, the world leaders gathered to discuss the aliens' offer. Opinions were divided. Some saw the special status as a reasonable compromise. Others insisted on complete independence. "We need more information," General Rodriguez said. "We need to know exactly what Imperial oversight means." The Voice of Integration explained the next day. Earth would remain mostly independent, but would need to pay regular tributes of resources and follow Imperial regulations. Some humans would be taken to serve in the Imperial fleet. "This is not acceptable," the Chinese president stated firmly. "Earth belongs to humanity." The voice seemed genuinely confused. "We are offering you an honor. Most species are simply conquered." "We understand your perspective," Olivia said carefully. "But humans value freedom above all else. We would prefer an alliance of equals." The voice's skin rippled with what might have been amusement. "Equals? Your species has barely left its own planet. The Empire spans thousands of worlds. Yet you're here, offering us special terms," John pointed out. "That suggests you see something valuable in us." "What we see is potential trouble," the voice admitted. "Worlds that can decode our warnings sometimes cause difficulties during integration. We prefer to avoid unnecessary damage to valuable resources." The meeting ended without resolution. The voice returned to its ship for the night, promising a final discussion the next day. General Rodriguez gathered his team immediately after the alien left. "They're worried," he said. "They wouldn't offer terms if they were completely confident. But are our defenses really ready?" Susan Baker asked. "We've made progress, but against their full fleet. We don't need to defeat them completely," William Carter reminded everyone. "We just need to make conquest too costly to be worth it." As dawn broke the next day, the alien ship powered up its engines. The voice of integration requested one final meeting. "Has Earth reached a decision?" it asked, its tone now formal again. "We have," the president replied. "We decline integration, even with special status. We propose alliance instead." The voice of integration stared at the human leaders. Its skin flickered between blue and purple tones. "Alliance?" it finally said. "The Empire does not form alliances with pre-space civilizations. This is not how things are done." "Maybe it's time for things to change," the president replied calmly. The voice stood up abruptly. "I must consult with the Imperial Command. This situation is irregular." After the alien returned to its ship, the Global Defense Initiative went on high alert. Satellite networks tracked the messenger ship as it left Earth's atmosphere and headed back toward the main fleet. "They'll attack now," General Rodriguez predicted. "Everyone to your stations." Olivia and John rushed to the main control center. Screens showed the alien fleet near Mars, still holding position. "I don't think they'll attack immediately," Olivia said. "Based on their patterns, they prefer certainty. They've never encountered this situation before. They'll want to analyze it." John nodded. "They're used to following a formula. One morning, then conquest. We've disrupted their formula." 3 tense days passed. The alien fleet remained stationary. Earth's defenses were now fully activated, with weapons pointing skyward around the globe. On the 4th day, the messenger ship returned. This time, it brought 3 additional aliens, each wearing different colored robes that seemed to indicate rank. The meeting took place in a larger room. More human leaders attended, along with General Rodriguez, Olivia, John, and other key project members. The voice of integration introduced the newcomers as Imperial assessors, sent to evaluate Earth more thoroughly. "Your proposal of alliance is unprecedented," said the lead assessor, wearing deep purple robes. "The Imperial Command requires more information before responding." The assessors asked detailed questions about Earth's governments, military capabilities, and technologies. The human representatives answered carefully, revealing enough to show strength, but not exposing all their secrets. "We would like to observe your defensive capabilities," the lead assessor requested. After private discussions, Earth's leaders agreed to a demonstration. The next day, at a remote military testing ground in Australia, Lisa Powell and Daniel Green showed the aliens a modified version of their electromagnetic pulse weapon. The target was an old satellite that had been positioned in low orbit specifically for this purpose. When the weapon fired, a nearly invisible wave of energy shot upward. Moments later, the satellite went dark, disabled completely. The assessors watched in silence, their skin changing colors rapidly. "This technology is not expected at your development stage," the lead assessor said finally. "We're fast learners," Lisa replied with a small smile. Back at headquarters, the assessors requested private time to discuss. The humans gathered in a separate room to wait. "What do you think they'll do?" Susan Baker asked Olivia. "They have 3 options," Olivia explained. "Attack immediately before we get stronger, retreat and reconsider, or negotiate. Based on their conquest patterns, what's most likely?" General Rodriguez asked. William Carter answered, "They prefer certainty. Right now, we represent uncertainty. My guess is they'll try to gather more intelligence first." The assessors returned after an hour. Their demeanor had changed. The lead assessor spoke directly to Olivia. "You study our conquest patterns," it stated. Olivia nodded. Yes. Then you know the Empire has never failed to integrate a warned world. There's always a first time, John said quietly. The lead assessor turned to the assembled human leaders. The Imperial Command has authorized me to offer modified terms. Earth may retain full self-governance and will not be required to provide citizens for Imperial service. And the tribute? Asked the Russian president. A reduced schedule of resource payments would still be required. This is non-negotiable. The human leaders exchanged glances. The President of the United States spoke for them all. Earth thanks you for your modified offer. However, we must decline. We seek recognition as a sovereign system, not a subject world. The assessor's skin colors darkened simultaneously. Then you leave us no choice, the lead assessor said. The standard integration protocol will proceed. As the aliens left the room, Olivia leaned close to John and whispered, "Did you notice? They're afraid." John nodded slightly. Because for the first time in their history, they're not sure they can win. General Rodriguez was already on his secure phone. All units to battle stations. The waiting is over. The real test begins now. The Imperial assessors returned to their fleet, and Earth braced for attack. It came 3 days later, just before dawn in Geneva. Multiple ships approaching from Mars orbit, Sam Evans announced in the control center. His voice was steady, but his hands shook slightly. 35 vessels in the first wave. Screens around the room showed the alien ships moving in the precise formation William Carter had identified months ago. They maintained exact distances from each other, just as predicted. Activate Defense Grid Alpha, General Rodriguez ordered. All stations prepare countermeasures. Across the globe, missile batteries aimed skyward. The satellite defense network powered up. Fighter jets took off from bases on every continent. The first alien ships entered Earth's upper atmosphere an hour later. They moved with precision, targeting major cities and military installations. Their energy weapons began to glow, preparing to fire. Now, General Rodriguez commanded. Lisa Powell pressed a series of buttons on her console. From hidden locations around the world, electromagnetic pulse weapons activated simultaneously. Invisible waves of energy shot upward, hitting the alien formation exactly at its weak points. 3 alien ships immediately lost power, their lights flickering out. They began to fall from the sky, trailing smoke. It worked, Lisa shouted. The pulse disrupted their shields. But the remaining ships quickly adjusted. Their formation changed, closing the gaps that William had identified. They continued their approach, now more cautious. Second wave incoming, Sam reported. 50 more ships. They're adapting faster than we expected, Susan Baker noted. Switching to Plan B. Plan B activated Raj Patel's satellite defense grid. Hundreds of armed satellites, hidden in orbit for months, now revealed themselves. They fired targeted energy beams at the alien fleet, focusing on engines and weapon systems. More alien ships were damaged. Some retreated to higher orbits, but the majority pressed forward, now firing their weapons at Earth's cities. Dr. Weizhang's shield technology activated over major population centers. The alien energy beams hit the shields and partially dispersed, but buildings still shook from the impact. The shields wouldn't hold for long. Launch ground-based missiles, General Rodriguez ordered. Nuclear missiles, modified with Susan and Lisa's technology, shot upward from silos and submarines. They detonated near the alien fleet, not directly hitting the ships but creating massive electromagnetic disruptions. The alien communication network went silent for 60 crucial seconds. Their ships faltered, losing formation as their coordinated systems failed. Now, General Rodriguez shouted into his global command link. All forces, engage. Fighter jets attacked the confused alien ships. Ground-based lasers targeted vulnerable spots identified by Williams' analysis. Kate Johnson's team activated their computer viruses, attempting to infiltrate any alien systems they could reach. The battle raged for hours. Some cities took heavy damage. Millions of people huddled in shelters. But Earth fought back with everything it had. By sunset in Geneva, the first wave of alien ships had retreated. The second wave held position at a higher orbit, seemingly reassessing their approach. In the control center, tired faces showed cautious hope. "We bloodied their nose," General Rodriguez said, looking at the damage reports. But this was just the first round. Olivia studied the alien fleet movements on her screen. They're regrouping, changing their strategy. They've never had to do this before. John pointed to a larger ship that had just appeared at the edge of their detection range. "Look at that one. It's different." The new ship was massive, nearly 3 times larger than the others. It moved slowly toward Earth, surrounded by a protective formation of smaller vessels. "That must be their command ship," William said. "It wasn't part of the initial attack force." General Rodriguez frowned. "Why bring it now? They must be planning something bigger." As if answering his question, all communication systems suddenly activated. Screens around the world showed the same image. A new alien, wearing elaborate gold and purple robes, its skin a deep blue. "Humans of Earth," it said, its voice deeper than the voice of integrations had been. "I am the Imperial Overseer. Your resistance has been noted. It is impressive, but futile." The alien paused, its large eyes blinking slowly. "However, in recognition of your unexpected capabilities, I am authorized to offer one final opportunity. Cease your resistance now, and your species will be granted preservation status. Continue, and we will be forced to implement total integration protocols." General Rodriguez looked at Olivia. "What does total integration mean?" Olivia's face paled as she studied the data from previous conquests. "Based on the pattern, I think it means they'll destroy our civilization completely and repopulate Earth with their own colonists." World leaders gathered for an emergency video conference. The Imperial Overseer had given Earth 6 hours to respond. Time was running out. "We cannot surrender," the Russian president said firmly. "We have shown we can hurt them. We must continue to fight." Others were less certain. The damage to major cities was severe. Millions were homeless. If the aliens escalated their attack, how many more would die? "What are our options?" the Chinese president asked General Rodriguez. "We've depleted most of our electromagnetic weapons," the general admitted. "The satellite grid is down to 60% capacity. We hurt them, but they still outnumber us." Olivia had been quiet, studying data on her tablet. Now she looked up. "There's something we haven't tried yet," she said. "Their command ship. It's different from the others." "How so?" asked John. "Its energy signature. It's not just bigger, it's central somehow. I think it coordinates their entire fleet." William Carter nodded slowly. "Like a queen in a beehive. Take out the queen, and the hive falls apart," Olivia finished. A desperate plan formed quickly. Earth would appear to negotiate surrender, buying time to prepare one final massive strike against the command ship. Every remaining weapon would be targeted at that single point. "It's all or nothing," General Rodriguez told his commanders. "We hit them with everything we have left." Kate Johnson's team worked frantically to modify their computer viruses. If they could penetrate the command ship systems even briefly, it might create a critical opening. "Ready," Kate reported, her eyes red from lack of sleep. "But we'll only get one shot at this." The President of the United States was chosen to respond to the Imperial Overseer. His message was carefully worded. "We wish to discuss the terms of preservation status. We request a direct meeting with Imperial Command to ensure clear understanding of the conditions." The aliens agreed. The Imperial Overseer would receive an Earth delegation aboard the command ship in neutral orbit. General Rodriguez, Olivia, John, and 2 world leaders would attend. As the small human shuttle approached the massive alien vessel, Olivia checked her hidden communication device one last time. The moment they were aboard the command ship, she would send the signal to begin the attack. The alien ship was even more impressive up close. It glowed with strange energy, its surface covered in symbols and patterns. The human delegation was escorted to a large chamber where the Imperial Overseer waited. "You have made a wise decision," the Overseer said. "Preservation status will allow your species to continue, albeit under our guidance. We have questions about this arrangement," General Rodriguez said, buying time as Olivia secretly activated her device. Around the world, the remaining defense systems powered up. Every missile, every satellite weapon, every fighter jet prepared to target the command ship. Kate Johnson's team launched their cyber attack, searching for weaknesses in the alien networks. In orbit, smaller Earth vessels that had appeared to retreat were now moving into position, carrying the last of Lisa and Susan's electromagnetic weapons. Olivia received confirmation that all systems were ready. She gave the signal. "Before we discuss terms," she said to the Overseer, "you should know something about humans." "What is that?" the alien asked. "We don't respond well to threats." At that moment, Earth launched its attack. Electromagnetic pulses hit the command ship from multiple directions. Computer viruses flooded its systems. Missiles targeted its engine sections. The ship shuddered. Lights flickered. The Overseer's skin turned almost white with shock. "What have you done?" it gasped. Alarms blared as the human delegation was rushed back to their shuttle. As they pulled away from the massive ship, they could see it losing power, its protective shields failing. Across the solar system, the alien fleet fell into confusion as their command structure collapsed. Some ships retreated immediately. Others continued fighting, but without coordination. 3 days later, what remained of the Imperial fleet gathered at the edge of the solar system. A new message reached Earth. The Imperial Council acknowledges Earth's defensive capabilities. Integration efforts are suspended. The Sol system is recognized as sovereign territory. Further communication will follow regarding potential diplomatic relations. In the Global Defense Initiative headquarters, celebrations erupted. Against all odds, Earth had stood against the Galactic Empire and won its independence. "They'll be back someday," John said quietly to Olivia amid the celebrations. "Probably," she agreed, "but not as conquerors, as equals." General Rodriguez joined them, holding a tablet displaying the alien message. "You know what this means?" he asked. "We've just introduced ourselves to the galaxy." Olivia smiled and made quite an impression. Weeks later, as Earth began rebuilding, news reached distant worlds across the galaxy. A small blue planet had resisted the Empire. They had received one warning, and that was all they needed.